We can't put a deadline on certain things that happen in our lives because we are not in control of it.
And I think even just this obsession with getting to the end.
I'm a baby girl at heart. Baby girl, you're not. Your heart is struggling.
There's so much power in really recognizing I've tried.
How come other people can have it and I can't? Will I ever actually have it?
Pride is broken in the waiting.
Ooh, let me
Your
tell
pride
you.
is broken in the waiting.
What patience does is humble you.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the To My Sisters podcast. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Renee, and we are your online sisters and hosts of the To My Sisters podcast.
We are all about promoting the wellness, growth and development of a community of sisters across the world.
And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about timing and patience, anxiety about the future, endurance training, and of course, jealousy. I love the yeah, we talk about that. So very, very excited for this one. But before we do get into it, we do have a couple of housekeeping.
All right.
So at this point in time, we will have received all of our applications for the Vision Fund. So we just want to say a massive thank you to everybody that has applied. We were absolutely flabbergasted by the hundreds of applications that we received for the fund, which just goes to show that the sisters out here have vision, and we are really, really excited to be supporting you. So thank you very much. We will be announcing who will be the winner soon. Bear with us, we've got to read through all the applications to make sure it's fair, but we will be back with an update very, very soon. So thank you, sisters, for all of the applications. Thank you for the sharing. We appreciate you so much, and we will be back very, very soon with that announcement. Another housekeeping is a reminder to purchase the TMS book.
Oh, the weeks are flying by. As you listen to this, we are on our final day of recording our audiobook.
Crazy.
And yes, thank you to all your all the sisters who sent through dilemmas and stuff for us to feature in the book. We cannot wait for you guys to enjoy just our heart and soul written on paper. And so the book is available to pre-order for the UK girlies. So visit the link in the description and in the show notes to be able to cap your copy. However, international sisters, we're moving, we're working, we're getting it to you ASAP.
Honestly, and on that note, sisters, we are still working on those international endeavors. This is really going to be
facts. Girls, we are working.
We are working very hard. We'll be back with an update. We can confirm that we have had over 1,000 registrations for these international fun endeavors that we have coming. We have coming up, but we will be back with a very, very astute update, which will feature all of the details and all of that kind of good stuff. So no, we have not forgotten. We just have a lot of applications to get through, and those details will be released soon. So thank you for your patience. The sisterhood is growing. Please continue to put other sisters onto the To My Sisters community, because the revolution has started.
It has, and we can't wait for you to be a part of it.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But housekeeping aside, it's time for the ding
dilemma.
Let's get into it.
Let's talk.
Hi, sisters.
Hey, beloved.
Beloved.
It's giving it Yana Van
Oh, child, it's definitely giving it Yana. I love that. Hi, Yana. If you're listening to this, we'd love to have you on the show. Anyways. Hi, sisters.
Hey.
I've been in a relationship for a while, and in many ways, my boyfriend is amazing.
Nice.
He's smart, hardworking, and sweet.
You love to see it.
However, he has one issue that's been affecting me since early days.
Don't they all? Yeah.
He has a drinking problem.
Oh, damn.
Wow. Which he acts way too casual about because he is a high achiever in his career. On a few occasions, his drunkenness has ended up with him starting fights, getting really sloppy in public, and recently even making a mess that I had to clean up.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I often find myself having to care for him and remind him of things he's done the next day. It's tiresome because he often becomes disrespectful and makes me the villain when I ask him to stop. Sadly, I love him dearly and care. So the thought of leaving instead of helping makes me feel guilty. I know this is not what I want for my life. I've tried to support him and suggest resources. Even his family agrees that he needs to stop, but he's reluctant to take accountability. This issue has taken my focus off myself, and I feel so choked by it. This is too much to bear. Please help a sister out.
The thing about dealing with someone who has an addiction,
right,
which they are in denial about, is they are going to be in denial. And it takes somebody first acknowledging their problem for there to be any ounce of change. And so for me, if change is something that you desire in order for your relationship to move forward and to continue to evolve, which I can imagine it is, you're going to need to have him come to the realization that he has a problem and that it is a problem. It's not just the drinking, it's the behavior that comes once he's drunk.
Absolutely.
If he is struggling to believe you, I would say, sister, whip out that phone and record him in his madness, okay? No. You need to give evidence that, okay, you don't believe me. This is what you are like when you are drunk. This is not just me saying this. This is not just us saying this. This is you. I want you to see how you are. But also understand that this is a very real and very hard kind of habit and addiction and problem that a lot of people face.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to give up, especially if you have become used to drinking casually, recreationally, whatever it is. And so I think this is about to be a very long journey, and you are well within your right to say that you would kind of take a step back whilst he was figuring out that journey for himself. And this isn't to be harsh, but as someone who has seen addiction, particularly even to alcohol, play out in their family, girl, it is tough. Really, really tough. I would highly recommend that if your boyfriend, once he does, or hopefully he does, acknowledge what he's going through, find a professional therapist. I think when we are in romantic relationships with people, we try to assume the position of their healer, and that's not our position to play, especially if we are not qualified professionals, but also because we actually need emotional support whilst we see a loved one going through such a transformation and such a journey. And so I think it's important for you to, yes, lean on your community, his family, the people around you who have also seen this problem in his life, as well as, you know, love him, love you. However, he needs a community around him of people who can also empathize and help him with the help that he actually needs. So whether that's AA, whether that's a therapist, whether that's somebody, you know, to be an accountability partner, whoever it is, somebody that is not you, who can help him with this journey. If he doesn't want to take this, you cannot force anybody to change. And it's important for you to now come to the, you know, big girl decision time. Do I want to be with this guy whilst he's still behaving this way? Do I want to be with him whilst he's figuring it out? And do I see a future for us together if he doesn't change? Because the hope is obviously he would. However, this is the person that he is now. And unless he makes personal choices, this is the person who he may always be.
Right.
And it's now down to you to realize, to ask yourself rather, is this something that I could live with for the rest of my life? As much as I love him, is this going to work? And there is a place where we love people, we are in love with people, but then we have to see, are our futures compatible with each other? Even though I love you and I love your personhood and I love who you are when we are together, there are parts of you which are going to be there. And this may take up a huge part of your life. It's going to take up it may just be casual drinking here, there, you know, maybe some weekends you go out, he gets lashed, and then you wake up on Sundays, you figure it out. But then it's going to be family occasions, it's going to be Christmas, it's going to be birthdays, it's going to be graduations, it's going to be key milestone moments where he may not have memories of them because he was drunk, and your memories of these keystone moments were cleaning up his vomit or making sure that he didn't smash up the place. Do you get what I mean? Right. And these are I'm not trying to be harsh or scare people, but these are very real realities that you have to say, as much as I am in love with you, do I want that? The answer may actually be no. And so as much as I love you, I may have to take a bit of a step back and say, that's just not what I want for my future. And that's okay. And to take a step back and say, you know, maybe we break up, maybe we just remain friends. Yeah. I will still support you, but it can't be from that same position of intimacy I once held, because now this is hurting me. And that's fine. That's not selfish. That's giving him room to get what he needs. And it's giving you room as well to not have this kind of fear in your life and this burden as well in your life surrounding him and his alcoholism. So I would definitely say, you know, try your best to encourage him to acknowledge that he actually does have a problem, and then see if you can help him get the help he needs outside of you to be able to overcome this problem. But if he doesn't want to accept either of those two things, I think you have to have a real conversation with yourself about whether you want to stay. I could tell you what I would do personally, but that doesn't actually matter. It comes down to what you actually want for yourself. So yeah, how about you?
That was a great answer. Very, very comprehensive. Completely agree. There you go. There you have it, folks. So no, I think what was really beautiful about that answer though was just the fact that you recognized all of the different angles, right? I think what's beautiful about this particular example is that it's not just you. Obviously, he's got a thriving community. His family recognize that this is an issue as well. So I think oftentimes in these kind of cases, it can feel like a unnecessary burden, which is something that you pointed out. And that can also curate feelings of guilt when you want to step back, or if it's something that you're actually considering moving away from. But just knowing that, you know, he's got a community of people around him to also support is really uplifting. And it means that it's not something that you need to shoulder alone. And, you know, when we do relationships, we do them in community, not just between you and the person. That's so good. Definitely even utilizing that, confiding and supporting the family in endeavors to support him is a really good angle to take. And it means that you also minimize the guilt that you feel when you want to take a step back, because it's perfectly valid to feel like uncomfortable and just thinking about the future of your relationship. Is this something practical that you can move forward with? And if the answer is no, then the answer is no, and that's okay. And it may be a period of breaking up so he can sort himself out. It may be a more long-term breakup. Whatever is the best solution for you and your future, and thinking about your future together, right? Because if this is something that's causing, as you were saying, issues now, it can become an issue not just in the future but in other areas of life. The thing about, you know, addiction that can be so destructive is it really does impact other areas of our lives, not just our relationships, but even, you know, our working capacity, and something like drinking as well, which has real physiological implications and effects on the body. It is something that rightfully so you should be worried about. So kudos to you for bringing it up to him. It may need to escalate a little bit in terms of showing him some recordings of him acting up, gathering, you know, other reports of him in terms of being able to compel him to take more accountability. And even when that doesn't work, at least you tried and you did your best. And it may be something that is beyond your capacity to fix. You can be there to support, but this is not on you to fix. So just remembering that this isn't your burden to fix. It may be a little bit of your burden insofar as supporting him as a girlfriend currently, as a friend, as a human being. But feeling that this is completely your burden to shoulder is absolutely not right. So yeah, I would definitely encourage you to think about that, encourage you to utilize the community that both you and he have around you at this time before you make your decision. And if it is so that, you know, after that process, it seems like things are not improving, or you don't have the capacity to support in the way that is conducive, then take a step back. But sis, we're sending you lots of love and light. Addiction is not an easy thing. It's a really, really hard thing. It's a very destructive it's a really destructive thing, and we pray that there would be some wholesomeness in this journey, and we really do pray that you would even feel fortified during this time to take this on and have wisdom about the way that you go about it. And we're even sending love and well wishes to him and his family, and hope that you both and all come through it on the other side. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and we hope that that is the case for your boyfriend.
Amen to that.
But yeah, moving into the conversation, the meat and bones of the conversation. Yeah. So
how was that?
You know what? You know what? Like,
Trey songs.
The evil you have done.
Funny.
You know what it was making? You know what it was making think? You know that thing I sent you that was like, when your friend sends you a voice note, you think it's important.
In the thunder and rain, sensified.
Ding, ding.
I can feel the pain.
No, because you'd be thinking, it must be important.
Something emergency, a 4-minute voice note.
And it's just your friend singing rubbish. Anyways. It is now the end of January 2023.
Wow.
I don't know.
A statement of violence.
I don't know how we got here, but we're here.
Month 1 out of
Okay.
12 done. 12
month-
isn't even a big number.
Merry Christmas 2022.
Essentially.
We're basically in 2025 at
Kwanzaa.
this.
Happy Hanukkah.
It might even be,
It's
what is
holidays.
it? The Ethiopian
New Year. Shout out to all our Ethiopian
We love you
listeners.
guys,
Thank you
honestly.
for teaching the world that time is just a construct.
It's just a construct. They're like, I'm sorry.
Gregorian calendar.
Who?
That's why they weren't colonized. I'm
He's
telling
like,
you.
it's on.
I'm telling you.
Anyways, back into the conversation.
Yeah.
The reason I draw attention to the fact that, it is the end of January 2023, it can cause a lot of anxiety for people who have, maybe have some goals for the end of the year or are thinking about moving towards the future. And typically we use January as that time to kind of test, like, have we retained those good habits? Are we moving intentionally towards our future? And I wanted to start there and kind of ask you, how do you feel January has gone for you, and how in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of the year and I guess your life, how do you feel about January and how it's gone for you?
It's been great.
Yeah,
I've loved it. I've loved every day of it. January has been a really, really good month for me.
Could be the greatest day of our lives.
Side note, Take That was in their big bag when they wrote that song.
Stay close to me.
When the sun comes
Let the world come alive tonight. Stay close to
Gary
me.
Barlow, thank you.
Sir, does he
Take
have a
that.
knighthood? Does he have a knight?
I'm sure they'd be
has
dashing
to.
that out to everyone. Right?
What?
I personally have loved this month.
Yeah.
It was fast and slow.
Yeah.
You know what? A lot happened this month, and I really didn't realize that so much was happening in January till I kind of took a step back. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, when you open
Yeah.
your calendar and there's a dot on every day,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh,
Child.
things were really moving. But I think January was the month that I realized I'm living my dreams.
Yeah.
I'm living in some answered prayers right now.
I love that for you.
I really do too, man.
I love that for you.
It was good, and obviously my word for this year has been habits, and I think I am cultivating good ones. It's been a bit shaky, like for the last 3 days I haven't been to the gym when I was meant to, but it's been a bit shaky here and there. But it's also me learning myself and learning, okay, what kind of triggers me to start and stop certain habits, what are certain boundaries that I need to put in place with different people,
Right.
and it's been a time of also learning as much as it has been about execution. And I think with January, we kind of come in and we're like, execute. And it's like, you still got 11 months left to do all of that, you know? So kind of fine tuning has been January. And I've really enjoyed that. It has been a good month. I've hated the weather and that has affected me. Just wanted to put that out there. Seasonal depression is real. Just to let the people know.
You can take as much vitamin D as you want. It won't replace the sun. Yeah. No, I hear that.
How about you? How's January been?
January's been good. I think equally the weather has actually affected me a lot more than I would have liked. I genuinely dislike cold weather. I don't like dark weather either. I thrive in the sunlight. I am already hatching my retirement plan to the Caribbean or to a very, very nice African country. And I will spend the rest of my days there because I am so sick to death of being in this weather.
Facts.
Aside from that, I think January equally has been going really, really well. It's been both fast and slow.
Yeah.
In that there has been a quickening of certain things that I'd like to see happen as a result of certain things that were in place last year and just like years before. And it's also been slow in the sense of I've really enjoyed like taking my time with my days, because it feels like my days, I just have a really not a newfound appreciation, but a renewed sense of appreciation for the importance of halting things and like really living in the present moments and really like enjoying. And I think because January is like the first month of the year, just even in terms of like my relationships or my interactions with people, I've really enjoyed slowing things down a little bit, because I know that there's busy seasons coming up for me and stuff. So really taking my time to establish, I feel, has been January for me, which I've really honestly enjoyed. I've liked being a lot more intentional with how I use my time. And I love the fact that you brought up learning, because January has been a month of learning for me. I'm always the one boy. We've been learning curves. Learning curves and road humps, baby. Yeah. Lots of learning, which I'm grateful for, because I actually really enjoy learning. Yeah. Like, it really, the thing about learning is sometimes it can be frustrating when you start doing something and you're not good at it. And as somebody that's like, I love being good at things. Yeah. I won't shy away from saying I like being good at things. Like, that's why I really enjoy learning, because I know that I can get to a place where I'm good at the thing. But I think the difficult thing, especially when we're thinking about like moving into the future and all that kind of stuff, is we can have all these goals and all these things that we want to move towards at the end of the thing. But at the beginning, we're often really bad. Like, we're bad. Facts. We're really, really bad. And
that's good.
At least for me, sometimes it can cause a little bit of anxiety, because it feels like, wow, I'm now very hyper aware of the fact that there's a gap between where I want to be and where I currently am. And I think it basically is a great segue into the next point that I wanted to kind of talk about, which is, how do you deal with the fact that, you know, you may have these really big goals, or like you're looking to the future. I want to do this, you know, I want to get this amount of money, I want to be married, I want to do this, but it feels like where you currently are feels so far away from that. Like, how do you deal with the anxiety that comes across as that? Like, what does one do when you're bad?
You know what? Firstly, acknowledge that, you're not where you want to be. The reason why that's a big deal. You've got to be honest with yourself. Like, I'm not where I want to be. And that's good, because at least when you know your starting point, you can actually start to orient better, and you can start to navigate better, because you're not in denial about where you're starting from. And so when it comes to mapping your life out, you're actually, you know where you're standing, you know, and then you can start to just accept, okay, this is where I am. What do I have, right? So I know where I want to be, but what do I currently have in my possession, whether that be skills, tools, network, characteristics, what vision, what do I currently have that is going to help me on this journey? Are there some things I even need to let go of and leave right here at this particular point in time? And then you start to work on, okay, now that I'm going on a journey towards the things that I actually want, I need to let go of some baggage. I need to let go of some bad traits. And I also need to maybe sharpen up my skills, sharpen up my knife, sharpen up my network, get in contact with different people who I know could help me navigate a bit better, or who I'm going to meet on the way. And once you start doing that, you now recognize that, okay, now I've prepared myself. Now it's time to start taking steps. And I find that the greatest robbery that impatience does to us is it robs us of steps, and it deceives us into thinking we need to start taking leaps. And you don't. You just need to start taking steps. And this is what we were saying a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about, it's okay if 2023 isn't the year that you become her, and you're still becoming her, because sometimes when you accept that, instead of taking leaps, you're going to take steps, you realize this is going to take me about triple the time. And that's okay, because at least I won't break my leg. Do you get what I mean? At least I will still have some energy. At least I have paced myself in a way that is in alignment with my current endurance and stamina. That's actually okay, because then I know I will make it. It may take me longer, but as long as I'm taking steps in the right direction, and I've prepared and I've mapped out things, I'm taking steps and I will get there eventually. And I think patience, or lacking patience, makes us frustrated with the idea of eventually. And it's like, but when is the time? Like, what's the date? I want to know when I'm going to get there. And it's like, well, why? Because if you knew or you didn't know, you still have to take steps regardless, right? But it's like, no, because I'm trying to pace myself by knowing the deadline. And it's like, sometimes we can't put a deadline on certain, we've all learned this, like we can't put a deadline on certain things that happen in our lives, because we are not in control of it. There are too many factors in this world for us to just think, because we have a vision board, everything is going to come to us in the way that we want it.
I've seen it.
Okay.
You don't understand. That's what I see when I go to sleep.
Okay, that's fine. But even Joseph had a dream, right? The dream was pretty vivid to him, and he had the interpretation. Yeah. 2 days later, he's in a pit in the floor.
That was
being sold into slavery. No issue of his own. Do you get what I mean? So as much as you can see it, I'm not denying that it's there. I'm just saying the gap between now and there could be filled with some things you haven't seen. That's the problem.
I almost got whiplash.
But that's the actual problem,
That's so
right?
good.
It's not about what you have or have not seen. Everyone can see the end goal. You know, everyone has their dreams
You
of
guys
holding.
did not see the pit stop, boy.
But you didn't see the pit stops. You didn't see the holes in the road. You didn't see the wear and tear that was going to come with it. And that's okay. You've got to equip yourself for possibilities, right?
That's good.
And it's not to say have contingency plans, but again, it goes to that conversation we're having about not being too obsessed. I think you can become obsessed with your destination, but don't be too obsessed with the road you take there, right? It doesn't have to be this specific way. It can end up being that way. As long as we are getting to the right place, or maybe we'll learn that the destination isn't even ultimately where we actually want it to be. Maybe we constructed that vision board because everyone else on social media wanted those things. And that's what Pinterest was telling us that we should want. But actually we've discovered more about ourselves and we've realized, I don't want that. That's also perfectly okay. But I think you have to be more obsessed with the discovery, the relationship with God, the trust, the development of your community, being in healthy relationships, the bigger picture stuff, you know? But I think a lot of us we struggle with the idea of this gap because we think that this gap tells us we're not worthy. We think that this gap tells us it will never be us. This gap tells us you're further away than you actually think. And it's like, no, you just got to get up and start walking.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Wow.
I'll be in my salmon bag sometimes.
There we have it, folks. I've said this already, and we ain't even scratched the surface. If you would like to leave your offering, we'll put a PayPal link below because you know we do need money. No. I absolutely love everything that. Oh gosh, that whole chat. I almost fell in that gap. Let me tell you something. But no, I absolutely love that. And I think even this whole notion of us being fearful of distance, right? We interpret distance as indicative of our failure rather than interpreting distance as an opportunity for gauging how much stamina that we have, right? And I think even just this obsession with getting to the end. We've spoken about this at length before, but sometimes it's not about getting to the end. Sometimes it's just getting far enough for the day and then getting far enough for the next day and then getting far enough for the next month and then getting far enough for the next year.
Yeah.
We see this gap and we forget that within this gap is time. And that time is going to pass. And if you're so obsessed with getting to the end, you'll forget that you actually need the opportunity to really rest in the present. Facts. And it's like when we are it really makes me think of like focus. So like, for example, when there's like this game where it's like you'll watch a video and they'll tell you to focus on one thing. Yeah. And then by the time you get to the end of the video, they're like, oh, well, did you see the upside down
everything
monkey?
Changed, yeah.
Did you see like the colors in the background?
Yeah.
Did you see X, Y,
no,
Z?
because you told me to focus on this one thing.
You told me to focus on this one thing. Of course I didn't see the flying monkey that was running in the background for the past 30 seconds. Do you know what I mean? But that was a powerful, and that's a really good example of the fact that when you focus on the wrong thing, you will miss so much of the beauty that life has to offer you because you're so hell-bent on getting to the end.
That's good.
And the thing about life is life will end.
So.
But what do you do with your meanwhile? Do you know what I mean? What are they going to fill the eulogy with? Are they going to fill it with, oh, she was so focused on the end and when we got there was nothing else to say?
She made it. She made it.
It is done. We just about got there. Do you know what I mean? But even thinking about like marathon running as well, right? When you think of marathon runners, they don't just think about the end, they think about the checkpoints. Right. How do I get to each checkpoint so that I can complete the race? Right. When we're thinking about the future and the end game, we also need to think about the checkpoints. That then decreases the gaps and it makes it seem more like a journey as opposed to this entirely infinite amount of time and space that we have to fill up. So what are the checkpoints that you can have that can allow you to feel like you're moving more purposefully towards the end goal, the finish line, right? Like when we're thinking about like the 800 meters or whatever it is, right? It's not just about getting across, it's about getting there in the most efficient way possible and passing key signposts. What are the signposts that you are putting in your life to allow you to gauge progress, to understand that you're actually making the correct moves towards where you need to go in the right direction, right? And I think whilst it can be intimidating to recognize, oh, there's a long way to go, there's so much power in really recognizing I've tried. You know what I mean? Like I've made a couple of steps.
I've done enough for today.
I've done enough for today, and understanding that there's only so much you can do in those checkpoint times as well.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when we see the distance as well, overall, we overreach ourselves in the specific time-bound appointments that we've given ourselves, right? So it's I want to look like this at the end of the year. I need to lose X amount, or I want to gain X amount. I'm going to absolutely kill it in this 24-hour period, not understanding that if you had actually just stretched that time and stretched that effort, then you would have made more significant progress than just completely panicking and thinking you need to do everything yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really understanding pacing yourself, really understanding the importance of having checkpoints.
Yeah.
And really understanding that journeys are long, and that's okay.
And you know
it's
what it
fine,
is?
you know.
It's actually okay. And I think it becomes about like two things come to mind. One, we have a very horrible relationship with the unknown in general.
Absolutely.
It's what challenges our faith. It's what challenges our motivation. Is this thing even going to exist? Does God even exist? Do my friends even love me? Like, it's a lot of unknowns, because we can't ever really 100% be certain on anything. But the second thing is, that's what leads to anxiety. When you're obsessed about these things that you do not know because you cannot control, you inevitably become anxious. Like, it reminds me of that teaching in the Bible. Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow's troubles are sufficient for itself.
Tomorrow
like,
is lining up something
honest,
that's hot.
And it's not even just that it's lining up something that's hot. Its troubles are there. Why are you worried about them today? And that's the thing. We try to preempt. It's like we front load all of the worry,
right?
And then think that because we have front loaded all of the worry and all of the panic, that it's the world, the universe, God now owes us joy on the offload. Do you get what I mean? That, okay, I'm going to go through all the panic and the anxiety and the pain and the strife of it now, which means that inevitably when I get there, it's all going to be free. It's all going to be good because I've experienced all the pain. It's like, no, you don't know what the future holds for you. You don't know what wave of emotions you're also going to go through in the future. So what's the point of front loading your anxiety now for things that you don't even fully understand in the future? And so I think it's important for us to just be like, you know what, let me appreciate just today or just this week. And like, I guess it's hearkening on me now how important that scripture is that talks about don't worry about tomorrow, because that will give you anxiety, especially if you have dreams of big things. Because oftentimes, even when we'll talk about habit stacking, right, it requires you to build on certain things. And so if you're unsure about today, don't even worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow started on today. So the problem is, because I'm not sure about whether I can execute today well, I'm also scared about the security of tomorrow. Right. And then I'm so scared about the security of next month. It's like when you live paycheck to paycheck, right? It's like, if I don't get this money today, I don't know about next month's bills. And then, God forbid, we don't get money next month. I don't know about the next month's bills. Right. Next thing you know, we're homeless. And then you keep thinking, it's a downward spiral in thinking, right? Because you know, everything is kind of stacked on top of each other. So let's just take care of what's imminently in front of us and what we do have understanding of. Because I guarantee you, as much as you may have anxiety, even about what's going to happen next week, you do have a bit of understanding about what you need to do today.
Absolutely.
And so if you kind of take that nugget of, as much as today may feel overwhelming, I understand what I need to do today, and you just do it, then you have confidence that tomorrow is sitting on a strong today.
Jeez.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. No, totally understand.
So actually shift your focus to just be like, as much as people may even be asking you, what's your 5-year plan? When are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? I don't know. And be okay. No. You've got to be okay giving people that answer. I don't know. Do you know? No. So why are you asking me? We don't know.
We don't know.
You know when you think I should do these things, but that's not how life works.
Absolutely.
It probably isn't the way life even worked for you, right? Things don't necessarily work out the way they should all the time.
Or the way that we want, precisely.
Exactly, precisely. And so it becomes down to, you're asking me all these questions doesn't mean I have to have the answers. And I'm not going to pressure myself to force an answer out of me when I don't know. And it's okay to not know. It's okay to be like, I don't know, but I know what's on my to-do list today, and getting married wasn't on it. So maybe going on a date was, but not getting married. So I can tell you what I know. I can't tell you what I don't. I can't
tell you nothing else. I'm just going out. We're just going to get a coffee.
And we're going to enjoy that.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Don't rob yourself of the present. It's something that I'm learning as well. Like, as someone who is very future obsessed.
Yep,
Like
yep.
I spend time just imagining and thinking and dreaming. It's also like, okay, vision, and you can dream, but open your eyes and see what's actually in front of you and appreciate that beauty as well, because then that becomes memories. And you don't want to rob yourself of your youth. Like, we can be out here shouting hot girl, baby girl, whatever, but this season is just a season. You're going to be a grown woman at some point. You're going to have grandkids and children. As much you can be like, I'm a baby girl at heart, baby girl, you're not. Your heart is struggling.
Not me preemptively
cardiac issues, you know. God forbid.
Not Cardi B, cardiac.
Not Cardi B, cardiac. That was good.
That is so funny.
Do you get what I mean? Like, you have to be mindful of the fact that these days are going to be those days, you know, back in the day, you know. But these are the days we have presently, and so we have to live in them. And so let's not rob ourselves of them because we filled the days with anxiety and anxious thoughts and panic. And I'm not talking about clinical versions of this. I'm talking about the day-to-day ones that we experience, because we are so overloaded with thoughts and fears about the future. And that's another thing we were talking about, I think, in season 2 a lot, that a lot of us are walking around with fear, and how fear is not really the most useful thing to allow yourself to continuously live with, even though it's probably the emotion that we are most acquainted with.
That's good. It makes me think of a saying that we shared recently, which is faith and fear both require you to believe in something that hasn't happened yet. And it's like, which of the two will you feed? Because eventually something will manifest, but if you allow it to be fear that you're feeding it, then what manifests will be your fears.
Child, that's why I'm scared of making £1 billion.
Oh,
it's pure.
It causes
it's a phobia.
me so much stress.
It's a phobia.
Jeez, get it away from me, money! Oh my gosh, ew! Get it away from me! Disgusting.
If you are listening, Renee just winks to the camera just to let everybody know.
Not the audio subtitles. But no, I think that was a wonderful reflection. And funnily enough, it leads very much into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which was developing patience. I think sometimes it can be really difficult to sit and be patient and be present and actually deal with the fact that what you want, you can't have yet. So how would you advise the sisters listening, folks that are listening just in general, that are impatient with their results and very much want what they wanted yesterday? Not even today. They wanted it yesterday. It should have happened. Or even dealing with that, right? The whole things that we was, you know, maybe are aspiring to. I know that, for example, for women, a big one can often be things like relationships. Funnily enough, I was on the Twitters, and there was this controversial tweet that blew its way onto my... blew its way like a leaf blower onto my homepage, where somebody was speaking about the fact that they were in their I think mid-20s and they hadn't had their first relationship yet, and they felt really like inadequate and they had been doing all the right things, but it just hadn't happened for them yet. What do you say to the people that are hoping for things in the future, but also feel like those kind of things should have already happened or wish they were already closer, or, you know, it was something that they wish would have happened for them quite a while ago?
Oh, girls. Firstly, I'm not an expert on patience because I am quite an impatient person. It's unfortunately one of the lessons that I've had to learn over the last maybe 6 months. I have struggled with patience because my mind goes to, if I can't have it now, I'll never have it. And I think a lot of times patience is an issue of a lack of faith. Right. And so the reason why I say that is because for us as Christians, you guys know our like personal faith journeys. I think it's, when I think of patience, I have to think of the fact that patience is a fruit of the Spirit. And so because it is a fruit of the Spirit, it requires faith to even cultivate it. Right. And so faith is one of those things that's tough because our minds can easily go to, but I don't understand why this isn't working out for me. And oftentimes faith and our understanding don't go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
And so I think to myself, even with that tweet, right, our understanding says, I've worked on myself. I'm happy. I know what I want. I feel like it's time. I'm at the right age. I've got people around me. Why hasn't anyone come? I've done everything. And patience tells us, because this isn't all on you. Right? And number two, just because you want it doesn't mean you can have it. Think about the way we train children, right? Just because you want dessert before dinner, you're going to eat this dinner first.
Absolutely.
You know, because you've got to learn discipline. You've got to learn patience. You've got to learn all these skills that will carry over into other parts of life. But also, I don't want to teach you to be entitled. And I think some of us go through our own lives feeling entitled to have whatever we want. And I want to tread lightly here, because I do believe there's power in declaring things and working towards things, and you have it, having your vision boiled and saying, you know, I want this, it's going to be mine. I want it, I can have it. And it's like, okay, yes, you want it, you can have it, but is it necessarily what's good for you? Is it good for you now? Number one. Number two, a harsh reality that we need to accept is the world doesn't operate on meritocracy. Just because you want it and you've worked towards it doesn't necessarily mean in every aspect of your life you can actually have it at the time you wanted it.
Right.
And so sometimes it's hard to then, the reason why these things are hard is it causes us to then look at ourselves and then be either very insecure and think, how come other people can have it and I can't? Will I ever actually have it? And that's why I say it's a question, an issue of faith, right? And an issue of, do I actually believe this is something I can have? And how attached am I actually to this idea as well? And so what I would say to those people who find themselves in those positions, very similar to I, is, baby, you have your whole life ahead of you for certain things to show up. And literally, when I tell you certain things in your life can change overnight, I really mean overnight. It takes one email. It takes one meeting somebody. It's one moment that can change everything. And as much as I'm not saying that to give you like this kind of delusional belief that, hey, my life is going to happen in a miracle moment. Not necessarily, but it is to say that you can't engineer everything. You can't force people's hands. You can't make people act a certain way. And that can lead to a lot of frustration in the waiting period because you want other people to act in ways you can't control. And it's important for us to kind of sit back and think, you know what? All I can do is my part, which is to be prepared. And then when the time is right, for it to happen, it will happen. And that is an unknown many of us are not willing to accept because we are control freaks. I have a control issue. I like to control no, I have a control issue. I love to control everything. And it's a form, dare I say, of pride, because I believe I know what's best for me. I know what timing is best for me. I know what people are best for me. I know what process is best for me. I know what timeline is best for me. I know what outcomes are best for me. I know what family will be best for me. I know what man would be best for me. I know what's best for me. It's like, do you really? Because if you did, how come you've ended up in hot water so many times?
You see, about that.
And that's about me personally, right? And then there's the flip side of people who their lives have been perfect. They've done everything according to the book. And then there's an arrogance that surrounds, I've done everything right.
Therefore, I should have this by this particular
And it's
time.
like, what patience does is humble you.
Yeah.
You are not in control of this situation. Relax.
Take a chill pill. The funny thing is, often, I think what's really interesting about patience is definitely something that's close to my heart and actually close to my life. One of my middle names actually means patience is beautiful.
Aww.
Mom, you knew
Iba
what
Queen. We love to see it.
She knew. I go bait out my whole government name on this internet, interweb, before people would be, Renee, I said, no.
Not the beatbox.
That level, not that level of proximity and the closeness to me. Absolutely not. But I think what is actually beautiful about patience is the way that it works out so much good things in your character, and the way that it forces you to be humble because you have to wait. Pride is broken in the waiting.
Ooh,
your pride is broken in the waiting. And it's funny because oftentimes what I found in life is oftentimes the things that I don't have immediately become an idol to me. There's so many things that many of us are waiting for that haven't happened yet that have become idols in our lives. Like, we worship it. Worship it. Whether it's the money, whether it's the marriage, whether it's the relationship, whatever it is. It's like there are certain things that we don't have yet that are idols in our lives.
You realize how much of your self-value you have put in that thing, how much of your hope and
so
safety.
much. Your whole life, like, literally revolves around you attaining this thing. Whether it's the body aesthetic, whether it's the house, whatever it is, it has become an idol to the point that it becomes frustrating that you don't have it.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. It is completely valid to be frustrated when you have actually been putting a lot of work in and it feels like you're not getting a return on that investment.
Right.
However, when it completely overtakes your capacity to do anything else, when it's something you constantly think about, when it's something that you're constantly, like, literally addicted to talking about, that's when you know this thing has become an idol in my life. And that's okay in the sense that many of us have fallen prey to it. But what's not okay is when you allow it to continue.
That's good.
Life doesn't work out in the way that we want it to. It isn't, follow the yellow brick road and you'll find yourself at Oz. It is follow this brick, pick up this brick over here. Oh, the road is a little bit. You might fall into a whole tiger pit over there. Like, that's the way that life is built. It is a whole mess of squiggly lines. Yeah. Even some of our attempts to make the road straight will not yield. There, you can throw whatever, those people that throw money at everything, or like they have their fail safe. There's no fail safe for life and achieving your goals. Sometimes things will naturally take longer, particularly if you are in an environment that is not conducive for what you actually want. So even thinking about the sis that was like, oh, I've been doing everything and all that kind of stuff. Maybe right now your environment is not conducive to you finding somebody that would be a long-term partner. Right. And it was interesting because later on in the tweet, she was talking about the fact that she had tried dating, but it feels like nobody's interested in a committed relationship and all that kind of stuff. I think it's better that you're single at this particular point in time than wasting your time with somebody that actually doesn't want to be intentional with you. And this is for all of the sisters that are out here, entertaining all sorts of nonsense.
Situationships and nonsense and rubbish.
We need to stop giving
nonsense.
It's the situationships that always get me, because life is a big old situation. Why are you bringing more ships into this situation? Rubbish. You bringing more ships to the harbor?
You were dark. What the hell?
You're bringing more ships to the situation? We ain't got no time for no situation.
Stop it.
And likewise, my brothers out here that are just entertaining and doing all sorts of rubbish.
Because you know what? That's what derails you on the journey.
Honestly and truly.
That's exactly what derails you on the journey.
Honestly
you are taking all these leaps, steps, whatever, and you're like, you know what? I'm tired. And there was a video I did like many years ago, actually, which is relevant to this. You end up making a home out of a pit stop.
Ooh.
This was just a petrol station.
This caravan. You want to make a house.
You want to make a house because you're tired of waiting. You're tired of journeying. And next thing you know, you settled.
For second best.
Even the last of the
Stop it, don't kill me. You know them races where the last person...
You're last.
You're least.
Absolutely.
You are called to be the
best. What makes it even worse is because we are cultivating a culture where we don't like patience, people are settling way too early.
Absolutely.
Way too... How are you 25? You've given up.
Baby.
If you don't pick up your little mini skirt and go outside, what the heck? Why have you given up?
Or maybe go to a coffee shop and look.
Oh yeah, 100. Look all mysterious. But like so many people have given up preemptively and prematurely. Right. Where it's like, why are you giving your future over to impatience and saying, rob me of all of my joy?
To bring up something that I've written about recently, delayed gratification and the importance of delayed gratification. I wrote an article recently for my newsletter where I was talking about delayed gratification. It's literally been one of my favorite experiments. It's called the marshmallow experiment, where basically there's interviewer, they've got a couple of kids. He puts basically marshmallows in the center and says, you can have more of these marshmallows if you wait for me to return. Yeah. And then when I return, you can have both these marshmallows and more. The kids that went for the marshmallow straight away ate it, or the kids that went for the marshmallow, they waited like maybe 2 minutes and, ate it. Consistently, I think 40 years after the experiment, were lagging behind in literally every single area of their life. Yeah. Every area. Whereas the kids who waited and then got the extra marshmallows, successful. They were making money. Yeah. Their SAT scores were phenomenal. Their relationships were more fulfilling. Even their body compositions were better. Delayed gratification. I think we are cultivating a culture where we cannot be gratified in a delayed manner. It is just instant gratification. And the thing about instant gratification is it doesn't compound. The only thing it compounds is
bad habits.
Bad habits and worse results. Worse results. It is literally teaching you to be impatient. It is literally teaching you entitlement. And it is literally teaching you how to destroy your life. Yeah. Because the thing about life is the best things in life usually are hard come by, which means you need to wait, or you need to ensure that enough time has passed before you can have the thing.
Yeah.
Honestly speaking, thinking about the relationship, thinking about the money, thinking about the more tangible assets, those things acquire over time. It makes me think of one of the verses in Proverbs that talks about it is better to have to basically store wealth little by little, basically gather up wealth little by little, than to have greatness with wickedness. Yeah. And it's just like, wow, sometimes it can be so frustrating when you have to go little by little, when you have to gather the store crops, when you have to build up your stamina, your endurance, your patience. But once you actually achieve the thing, you realize, you've actually developed habits that will allow you to compound the end goal.
Facts.
The end is not the end. That's the funny thing.
Facts.
We often have this thing in our mind of this is the end. Even thinking about, okay, the $1 million, what comes after the million?
Yeah.
Even thinking about, I want to get married. What comes after the day of your wedding? Even thinking about anything in life that you want to achieve, there will always be an after. Delayed gratification and patience teaches you how to maintain the after. And it's just without thinking about that, many of us will fall into this trap of, I just want to get to the end as quickly as possible, not knowing that there is a whole lifetime that comes after the end. So understanding that the end is not the end. It is simply a pit stop. Even that end is a pit stop. It's a checkpoint. The end is when you die.
Right.
The end is literally when you die.
That's the real end.
That is, it is finished. It is done, dusted. Eulogy, funeral. I hope y'all got life insurance. All that. No,
but actually, biggest man thing is so funny you said that, because this morning I was thinking about that. Sisters, I highly recommend you get life insurance. Honestly, this is not a sponsored episode, but any life insurance provider. Just thinking about wealth and building it. A lot of wealth is first established through lump sums of money being, passed through a family. And a great way to do that is actually through life insurance. Right. So just to put in your minds, if you haven't got life insurance, if your parents haven't got life insurance, your siblings haven't got life insurance, everybody get a life insurance policy. And especially now when it's cheaper, and it will stay at a fixed rate throughout your whole life. And then when you pass, didn't say it'll be soon. So before you say, God forbid, do you not want to die? Well, obviously no one wants to die soon, but you will die at some point. Right. When you pass, you can leave an inheritance for your children, your family, your friends. And that is wisdom. That is great.
I'm going to need us to deal with that in our communities though, because they'd be like, oh, why are you wishing death on somebody? Death is, look at me in the eyeballs. Death is certain.
Inevitable, in the words of Thanos.
Hello, you will die. It is not a question of if you will die, it is when. Okay, you could delay.
And how well.
You could get your healing.
It's a question
for
of
your knee.
How well.
Your back can be healed only for a finite amount of time, because you and your back will be going to the ground.
Yeah. And in fact, it really is a question of what do you leave behind when you pass. Exactly. This is nothing to do with the episode, but run with it. It's good advice regardless. When you pass, what would you have left behind?
Better not be debt and
cigar butts. Do you get what I mean? And toxic memories. Ridiculous.
And then on top of that, we got to pay for your funeral.
I've got to do a GoFundMe or a Just Giving, because you don't have life insurance or savings or any ounce of a penny to your name.
Cigarette butts and
figure it out. Get a life insurance policy. Because even if you were a wicked person, if you leave behind a quick 100K for somebody, it's all right. We'll forget. We'll forget.
All of those years will be mad. That toxicity will be wiped out by that life insurance.
Not crimes. But just a little bit.
Just a little bit,
it's just small. She got my nerves a bit, It's all right, but leave her some check in the will.
Absolute tangent.
Yeah. No, but for real, get
life
insurance.
Do get a life insurance policy. It's really important that you leave a legacy for not just your kids, but your kids' kids. But moving on to the last thing that I wanted to talk about, which we've actually talked about implicitly throughout this episode, is jealousy. Jealousy and comparison, which is something that we talk about in our upcoming book. If you didn't know, TMS has written a book, aka myself and Courtney. Oh yeah, crazy! Oh my god, have you seen that meme? I think it's of Don Jazzy. Wow! I didn't know. Crazy! Wow! It's so funny. Yes, TMS have written a book. We have written a book under Pan Macmillan, Bluebird. And if you haven't already, I would advise you strongly. I can't force you.
Please.
Please pre-order. The more pre-orders we get, the less money your card is charged when the book is released. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the final price will actually like decrease.
Huh?
So the more pre-orders that we get, you know how like Amazon be doing that, you know, minus like £2 and it's like £13. So they're actually, when you pre-order the book, your card isn't charged yet. Your card is only charged when the book is actually released and it's on the way. So the more pre-orders we get, the less the pricing.
Right,
The
it'll be
pricing.
cheap.
The pricing.
Okay.
So if you want to help the sisters not only completely transform their well-being, but save some coins whilst they're doing it, I suggest
you pre-order it.
run. Do not walk.
That's dope.
Run. Do not walk. Dope. So please purchase the book. There's whole chapters on comparison and jealousy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But thinking about that, I think what's also difficult about planning towards the future, timing, patience, is when you see friends in particular just thriving.
Living their best life.
Living their best life. It feels like everything that everyone else is doing is just working for their good, and you're just there like, what about me? Where is my portion? You know that meme? Oh, sorry guys. I literally think in memes. You know that meme that's like, God, I see what you have done for others.
Do it for me. I don't want to be a mechanic. I want to be a baller.
How do you deal with the reality of there may be people who are around you in close proximity to you that have access to you or are achieving things that you want at a shorter pace and a shorter rate than you?
You got the short straw. It's all right.
She said deal with your
but also even not just you got the short straw, your journey is just different.
Right.
And that's actually okay because your time will come. That's the thing. You can't psych yourself out of the idea that your time will come.
Right.
These things, and you said it before, these things are not scarce. Love is not scarce. Work is not scarce. Money is not scarce. It's just being hoarded by some people. Number one. Number two, it just may not be your time. And that's okay. And it comes down to everything we've just said about patience. Right. You just have to wait for your time, number one. Number two, if you do think there is something practically that they have that you don't have, it's time for you to step yourself up. So whether that's a networking issue, whether that's your CV is not the same as their CV, they have taken courses that you haven't taken. I'm kind of sick of people sulking around, but they ain't put in the groundwork. You've got to put in the groundwork. Don't compare yourself to people whose groundwork, one, you haven't seen and you don't understand, and two, you wouldn't be willing to put in even if you did see it and understand it. It's important for you to go out there and do the work. Right? And then once you've done the work, you can be like, okay, now I'm doing the waiting, but you got to have a seed in the ground. And unfortunately, some of you don't have any seed because you ate it. And other people kept theirs and now it's in the ground.
She said you ate your seed.
No, she said you ate your seed.
You better
You're really in your comedy bag today. I love it. I really love it.
Nah, man, you better that back up, man. Put that in the ground. Compost over.
ASAP.
Do you know how funny that is?
Biggest bad thing.
Not you ate your seed.
You ate your seed. You ate your seed. It's actually, and the thing is, not everyone is given equal seed.
That's true.
So you kind of even have to be, I remember there was this advice my dad gave me because I used to be, you know, a bit like, this is going to sound so pretentious. But I'm like, Dad, all these good things are happening to me and I feel like I'm losing friends. because genuinely I was losing friends. No, biggest bad thing. There was one friend in particular that was like, we would have phone calls and I would leave the call just thinking, am I doing too much? Like, have I gotten too much? Have I...
You're too big for your books.
Yeah, have I gotten too big for... And I remember talking to him and he was like, my dad's not even a Christian like that. And he was like, Courtney, there's a place in the Bible where someone was given 10 talents, someone was given 5, and someone was given 1. The reward, though, was the same if they acted right with what they were given. Do you get what I mean?
That's good.
So it's basically like...
uncle.
My dad be spitting wisdom, I'm telling you. That's my best friend.
He's also my bestie, guys.
He loves this girl.
I'm literally his next door.
She really is. Just because I may have more seed than you or I have more to start with, it doesn't matter. What you do with what you have is what matters. That's what tells of your character. That's what tells of your journey and your result. And what did people see? Increase no matter what, right? So whether you're starting off, it does feel unfair sometimes when it's like somebody's starting off with 10, I'm starting off with 1. But no matter what, if you do the seed thing right, you're both gonna double your profits.
Absolutely.
And you just have to keep focusing on yours and doubling it. But unfortunately, so many people spend so much time envying and coveting the people that have 10 or have 5 or have more, that they don't do anything
with what they have.
what they have, right? And it's like, okay, well, you can't eat off of their profits. You can't eat off of you can observe their life and just grow more and more bitter. But what about you? Right. And that's why I need everyone to have a radical, almost selfish focus, an unapologetic amount of focus to actually growing what they already have in their possession. Because it's easy to look at what other people are doing and thinking, well, what about me? What about me? What about me? And your life is running you by. Time is passing. Days are going by. And I don't mean this to be harsh, because it is a very, very real feeling. And we talk about it in the book, like you said, we delve into it. It's a very real feeling, even amongst the people you love the most. However, this is a you problem. You got to deal with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that if there are practical things which you feel like this is actually keeping me behind my peers, address that. Like I have no problem saying, there are some peers that I look at and I think, I want what you have. And then it comes to my heart that you don't work as hard as them. You don't know the people that they know.
Damn.
You haven't done the things that they've done. You also can't do the things that they've done because of your values.
Sometimes we be looking at how shiny the seed is or how shiny the tokens are, but that soil, they've been through a lot.
That's another thing. Sometimes you actually don't know what people just had coming in store for them because of how much they've lost. You ain't lost that much. Like when I look at somebody like Nella Rose, I'm like, I want you to have everything that you could have ever had, because of how much you've actually been through. And it's not to say that like, oh, we should go through these struggles and hardships and losses so that we can actually succeed. But it is to say, damn, some people are due that rainfall because life's been hella droughting. And I think that that's something that we also need to appreciate, that everyone's journey is very much so unique and you cannot cover anybody's harvest because you actually don't know what they did to till the ground. Sometimes it's not even about the seed, it's what they did to work the ground. Right. They were out here come rain or shine, then they were doing their watering. Hands were bleeding. Their hands were bleeding. They were ripping up thorns. Things were coming to come and snatch that seed out of the ground, and they literally had to fight it and hunt those things down. It ain't about anybody's grass. It ain't about anybody's field. Face your damn front.
Face your little plot of land over there. And you better add some water and some soil and whatnot. Facts. I love that. Absolutely love that. And I completely agree. I think jealousy definitely sometimes gets a bad rap because it can manifest into such an ugly type of behavior and an
big
ugly kind
monster.
Right? Big green monster. But it is a valid emotion in that it is normal to feel jealousy, and it is a normal response to conditions or where it feels like you have wanted something or desired something for some time and it hasn't been happening to you, but it seems to happen with a swiftness and a quickness to the people around you. I think the first thing in terms of like managing it and overcoming it is finding joy and celebrating others, like genuinely. I think what's beautiful about being around people and having friends that are, you know, in their celebratory season is you've seen their hardship. Yeah. So if anything, you of all people should be like happy. Yo, when Courtney comes to me and tells me of her wins, I'd be celebrating her more than she celebrates herself. I am overjoyed and because if you had known what Courtney has gone through, you would completely understand that what she deserves is even far more than what she has been given. In the same way that there are people in my life that I genuinely love and I've stood with and I've walked with and I've had a relationship with, that everything that is due to you, you deserve it. Even if it's things that I also want for myself. Yo, it brings me so much joy to know that there are people around me, especially if they're people that have invested in you in some way, whether it's they have been a close friend of you or whether they're, you know, somebody that's in close proximity to you that supported you in some way. I think that it is basic, like 101 of good character to exhibit joy and celebration when someone you love, something has happened that is good for them. Yeah. Like really, like we often think about like sympathy and empathy when something has gone wrong or something is bad. But what about celebrating the people around you when something has actually gone good? Yeah. There's just not enough joy in the world right now. And I think it's important that we start with the people that are closest to us, because I'm not like a big like celebrator when good things happen to me. I'm just like, oh, you know, that has happened and stuff like that. But I can get to a place of joy when I know that my friends are around me and they're actually celebrating me. Sometimes it takes the celebration from friends for you to realize that a good thing has happened in your life. And it can be so deflating if the people that are meant to love us the most are the ones that are completely oblivious to the fact that good things are happening in our life. We spend so much time and we give so much of our focus to the bad things happening. We spend so much negativity and we spend so much time manifesting that negativity that this is actually an opportunity for you to show joy and manifest joy and cultivate joy with people that you care about most. So seeing it as an opportunity, as soon as you feel that green monster come in or whatnot, recognize that as an opportunity to be joyful for somebody. And spend time overcoming it by doing the absolute most. Going all out to celebrate that person. That person must think that you are nuts, crazy, and saying like, yo, can you chill? No. Celebration is important. It's important because there's just too much negativity in the world.
It's the greatest way to kill pride.
Greatest way to kill pride. And it's often in the times of celebration that you have the opportunity to really be present with that person, to show them love, but also present with yourself and understand that this is actually possible. It can really restore hope when you're celebrating and being joyous for somebody else. There have been so many times where I have lost hope in like some of my goals, and then I see somebody else do it and I'm like, damn, okay, it's still possible. Especially if it's somebody that's in your network, somebody that you know or somebody that you love can achieve it. Oh hell, come on,
you could do it too.
That should be evidence. If anything, that should spur on your faith and be like, oh, okay, cool, somebody who's in close proximity can have that. That means that
I can have it too. But you know why we don't see it that way? Because often when someone else gets something that we want, we're quick to highlight our differences between us and them instead of actually highlighting what's similar. We came from a similar background. We like, if they can do it, I can actually do it. Instead we think, oh, they got it because they're not like me in these ways. Perspective shift, baby.
Perspective is all about the mindset. What mindset are you setting your mind with? But no, I think it's really important to have that reframing and just, actually celebrate people. I think we have become so bitter as a culture. We've become so self-absorbed. I saw a meme and I saw another meme and it was a guy who took a picture of himself and he was like, I can't be happy for you because I wish it would have happened to me. And I was just like, and I saw the amount of likes on that. And I was just like, we are a bitter.
At least they were being honest.
They were being honest, right? But that level of honesty, some of y'all, we need some help. You know what I mean? And that's why community is so important, especially in these times, because when you are constantly bombarded with images of success without proximity, then it feels as though it's unattainable. When we look at like all of these like celebrities and people online, all we see is their pictures or all of that kind of stuff, or we see all of these success stories and it feels like it's so far from us, when really we should first of all cultivate proximity so that we know the fullness of people's stories and we can actually invest in them and actually celebrate them when the joys come, because we were there for the low points. But also having closer proximity to people means that, yo, I know you, you know me. You could even put me on. Yo, you could actually dead ass put me on.
And that's why you got to cultivate good relationships, because a lot of people don't believe in that because they think, nah, no one's going to put me on. But if you have real friends are going to put you on.
I can't tell you how many times my friends have put me on. Cannot tell you how many times my friends have put professionally, relational wise, like my friends, even when like reflecting on this month, on January, there have been certain opportunities and certain experiences that I've had because my friends have put me on, or people that love me, people around me have put me on.
Facts.
Cultivate good relationships. Jealousy won't ever be an issue when you've cultivated good relationships where people put each other on. Stop the gatekeeping, and also put other people on as well. If good things are happening to you in your life, put people on. Don't just be out here like, oh, everyone's celebrating. Like, put people on. But sisters, we would, as usual, love to hear your thoughts and opinions. What are you striving for in the next few months, the next few years? Like, what's on the agenda and how can we as a sisterhood community support you? Drop it down like it's hot in the comments below on the YouTubes. If you're listening audio only, you need to come over to... I'm gonna stop now, guys. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to come over to YouTube and drop those comments. And whilst you're here, give us a cheeky subscribe, a cheeky like. You know, keeping it cheeky over here, prim, proper, but a little bit cheeky. Follow us on our social media to follow our glowing and growing gem.
Is everything all right there, baby girl?
Come follow us on social media to follow our own journeys. The lovely lady to the left of me at CD Boateng, who is a YouTuber, a creator, and she just does a lot of stuff, guys. You ought to follow her. You ought to follow her. And of course, come and follow me over at Renee Kapuku.
We love to see it. And sisters, you must sign up to the To My Sisters mailing list. It's a must for 2023. Okay, go to tomysisters.com, type in your email address. We'll send you weekly glowing chips. It's simple. It's simple. It really is.
Quite that simple.
Also, last 2 weeks, everyone was asking me where my hair is from.
Yeah, come on now.
It's from me. Yeah, I laid it myself.
The gag.
Don't ever get it confused.
The gag.
No, but for real, if you didn't know, I used to own a hair company. That's how I made my money.
Come on now.
And it might be coming back. Follow me on socials. Exclusive drop. Anyways.
I didn't know.
She was legit asking me for a wig.
Oh my God. Shock horror.
Anyways, sisters, we hope that you have an amazing week.
Please rate the podcast 5 stars on all streaming platforms. We'll talk to you next week. And as always, keep glowing and growing. Mwah.